Let's talk about a compliance rule that a lot of private companies might be accidentally breaking. It all comes down to how they handle their shares. We're talking about the mandatory move from old school paper share certificates to an electronic format, a process known as dematerialization. Let's break down exactly what this means for you. So I'll ask you straight up, are your company's shares fully compliant with the latest rules? It sounds like a simple enough question, right? But the answer could seriously impact everything from your ability to raise capital to your company's legal standing. And here's why that question is so important. The game has totally changed. There's a regulation called Rule 9b, and it's basically made the world of physical share certificates a thing of the past for most private companies. You can't issue them, and you can't transfer them. End of story.
So this brings us right to the heart of it all, the new Dmat mandate. Let's take a closer look at what Rule 9b is and what it actually requires you to do.
You know, the interesting thing about Rule 9b is that it doesn't just look forward, it looks backward too. It's really got two key parts. First, you have to help all of your existing shareholders convert their old paper shares into electronic form. And second, any new share you issue from now on has to be in that electronic or Dmat form from day one. There's really no wiggle room here.
Okay, so knowing the rule is one thing, but what does being compliant actually look like day to day? Let's get into the practical, on-the-ground steps your company needs to take to get its house in order. Before we jump into the process, let's just get the terminology straight. You're going to hear these acronyms a lot. The RTA is your registrar and transfer agent. Think of them as your shareholder record keeper. The DP is basically the shareholder's broker, and the ISN, that's just a unique serial number for your company's securities. So with those key players in mind, your company really has three fundamental, non-negotiable duties. First, you've got to get that unique ISN for your shares. Second, you need to have formal agreements in place with both a depository and an RTA to handle the whole process. And third, you have to actively, and I mean actively, help your shareholders make the switch.
And I really want to hammer this point home. Helping this process along isn't just a nice thing to do, it's a legal requirement. You can't create your own internal policy to block it, and you can't just drag your feet. You are legally obligated to make sure this happens smoothly. All right, now that the company has its side of things set up, let's follow a single dematerialization request from start to finish. We'll look at it from the shareholder's perspective. Understanding this flow is absolutely key to preventing any hiccups.
You know, every journey needs a ticket, right? Well, in the Dmat world, that ticket is the DRN, or the Dmat requisition number. The second a shareholder kicks off a request, this unique electronic number is created, and it's used to track that request through the entire system.
So let's trace the flow right here. It all starts with the shareholder. They hand in their form and their physical share certificates. Their DP then starts the electronic process, which creates that all-important DRN. Now pay attention here, because there are two tracks happening at once. The electronic request zips over to your RTA almost instantly. Meanwhile, the physical documents are making their way through the mail. The final step is where it all comes together. Your RTA basically plays detective, matching the paper documents with the electronic data to give it the final thumbs up or thumbs down. But what happens when that final matching process doesn't work out? This is where most of the compliance headaches pop up. So let's talk about how to handle rejections, because it all boils down to one single critical rule.
30 days. I want you to burn that number into your brain. It's the single most important time frame in this entire process. And honestly, it's where everything usually goes wrong. So here's the deal. The electronic request hits the RTA system almost immediately. But if those physical documents, the actual form, and the paper share certificates don't arrive in the mail within those 30 days, then bam, the system is built to automatically reject the request. The RTA has no choice in the matter. That DRN becomes totally void, and the entire process just grinds to a halt. And this right here is the most important thing to remember when this happens. The absolute wrong move is trying to revive that old rejected DRN. It's a dead end, it's not going to work. The only correct action is for the shareholder to start the whole process over again with a brand new request, after, of course, figuring out what caused the delay in the first place. Now, knowing how to fix a problem is good, but you know what's even better? Preventing it from ever happening at all. So for this last part, let's build a simple, bulletproof system you can put in place to make sure this never becomes your problem. Your internal playbook, your standard operating procedure, can honestly be this simple. 1. Log it. Keep a detailed record of every single request that comes in. 2. Dispatch it. Don't let those papers sit around. Get them in the mail to your RTA within 2 to 3 business days.
This completely takes that 30-day risk off the table. And 3, reconcile it. Every so often, just check your log against the RTA's data to make sure everything lines up perfectly. So let's end with this one critical thought. A delay in this process or a mismatch in the records, that's not just a minor paperwork issue. To investors, to regulators, it's a huge red flag about your company's governance. It sends a signal that things might not be running as smoothly as they should be. So the final question you have to ask yourself is this: is your system protecting you, or is it putting your company at risk?